Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's success webinar, Getting Started with EstimateRocket. Today, we're going to explore how to get up and running quickly with EstimateRocket to start taking immediate advantage of its benefits. EstimateRocket, as most of you know or hope to know, is going to help you automate your follow-ups, make your estimating process a lot simpler and more streamlined, and hopefully help you to close more sales and run your business in less time. So with that said, let me launch off into what we're going to cover today. Just a little housekeeping first. There's a question box. If anybody has any questions, please just type them into the question box, and we'll probably take them mostly at the end of the webinar. But please feel free to type your questions in there. And once again, I thank you for attending today. So move off into my first slide. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, first of all, EstimateRocket is going to help you manage your projects from lead to paid. So from the sales cycle to the work phase, all the way through collecting and on your invoices, EstimateRocket can really manage that whole process very effectively. The first piece of that puzzle is really automated follow-ups. We think the estimating comes first, but I really put automated follow-ups in there because that's one of the things that's going to happen right out of the gate when we start entering a project. So I'm going to kind of move back and forth between my little slideshow here and EstimateRocket just to kind of give you a feel for it. So let's jump over to our dashboard in EstimateRocket. In our EstimateRocket version, we have quite a few users in our system. So you see all of the users that are in the system over on the right. Depending upon your permissions, you may or may not see all of the users, but you can add additional employees or users into the system to even get you more efficiency in terms of how EstimateRocket can benefit you. So right out of the gate, as we look at the dashboard, you notice the green button. So green buttons are the action buttons in EstimateRocket. They're your go-to thing for the next step in the project. So as we're looking at our dashboard, we can click on one of these projects that are on our today list for the dashboard, which is our list of things to do for the day, or we can go ahead and just create a new estimate. And an estimate is really the starting of the sales process within EstimateRocket. So when you get someone calling in or looking to start a project with you or get some information from you, Plus Estimate is the way to go. So let's go ahead and do that, see how that works. So we hit Plus Estimate, we immediately get a dialog that says, asks us if we have a new client, or we can start typing to search for a client. So one of the things you're going to find throughout EstimateRocket that'll really help speed up your work is anywhere there's an opportunity to search, they're extremely flexible. They'll search on any word or number basically that you enter into the search bar. And again, this is virtually everywhere there's a search bar. So you can type in anything you know about a given client, part of their address, part of their phone number, part of their name, part of an email address, and it will bring up a list of all the things that match what you've typed so far. And then you can scroll through the list, and you can keep typing if you want to narrow it down. So maybe I only want the John Joneses. It's like I've got a lot of Mr. Joneses in our system. So once we find the one we want, we can go ahead and click on it, and it pulls up the rest of that client's information. If we don't have a new client, if we don't have an existing client, we would just select new client and start typing in their information, their first name, last name, email, phone, company name is optional, and all the additional details that you need to capture for this client. So I'm just gonna go back to our original and type that back in for John Jones, 44 Lime. Okay. You got a project number option here, and we'll kind of go through some of these things quickly. I don't want to get into too much detail because I do want to kind of get through the whole cycle job process and talk about some of the key points. Project name is a great place to put in like the client's name if it happens to be a job you're doing for a general contractor, or just some general information about what type of project it is, interior, exterior, flooring, whatever it might be. The other thing that you need to know is if the project is going to be worked in a different address than it's being billed to, you need to uncheck the location address, same as billing address. And that will make sure that you get an address that is going to represent where the job location is, as opposed to where the person might, the bill to address happens to reside. So I can put in 67 Water Street as the actual project location. And the zip code. And then we have several notes boxes. There's an internal customer notes and an internal notes. Customer notes are going to show on all of the documents that get created in EstimateRocket. So if it's a purchase order number or something that you want to see on every document that comes out of EstimateRocket, that's a good place to put something like that. Internal notes you can use for anything you don't want the customer to see. Only people who are logged into EstimateRocket are going to get a chance to see the internal notes. So the other thing you can do with internal notes is you can use it to categorize your work with hashtags. So I'm going to put in a hashtag residential interior. And you can create hashtags for any of the different types of things you want to classify your work with. Exterior, interior, flooring, roofing, insulation, whatever type of services you render. And the important thing about the search tags is, or the hashtags, is that in any of the reporting and searching in EstimateRocket, you can put in those hashtags and limit your list down to just those things. So you can also use it for things like a hashtag waiting for permit or waiting for color selections, things like that that you want to be able to search on. You're going to find that the searching capabilities in EstimateRocket are very powerful. So when you're looking for something, don't hesitate to type something into the search bar. Next field down is the lead source, and this is another real key to EstimateRocket to help you manage your business. So you can have a predefined list of lead sources, or you can also enter them in on the fly. It can be a source like House or Home Advisor or some other service that you're using, or it can also be typed in on the fly. And it could be, for example, a realtor's name or a general contractor's name or another service contractor that you know that's referring business to you. Again, you're going to see some reporting a little bit later that'll show you what the real importance of that is. And if you're doing any tracking on closing ratios, this is a real key. Next field down is the project owner. So this is the person in our company who's going to own this project. I'm just going to leave that set to me and go ahead and create my estimate. So once I've clicked Create Estimate, the next logical step in the process is to schedule an appointment. And that's another big thing with EstimateRocket for sure. So if I want to schedule an appointment to go out on site right now, I can just click on the Schedule Estimate button, and it pulls up my calendar, and then I can just simply drag the project over to the calendar, and I can assign it to a different person if I need to. So I can assign it to a different estimator. I can also set a time for the appointment as well if I need to, if it's something where the homeowner needs to be home. And then I can leave notes. And those notes are only going to be seen by people logged into the system. So I'm going to give my watch out for the dog or call ahead or anything like that. And you're going to see this dialogue that we're looking at right now throughout EstimateRocket. It's a really, really key piece of EstimateRocket because what it lets you do is set dates for things. And sometimes they're appointment dates, sometimes they're just reminder dates. But it really is important to set this when should it be completed date to either the appointment date that you're setting or to the next time you want to be reminded about this particular item. We'll see that a little bit in a few more minutes. So once I've put in my information and set my dates, I can go ahead and schedule the estimate. Now it's marked as scheduled. So I mentioned automated follow-ups earlier, and the reason I mention those first is because it's probably one of the most popular features of EstimateRocket and one of the biggest time savers, and one of those things that's going to get you more business with no effort. So the way that automated campaigns work is at each step of the project, each time we hit one of the major green buttons in the action row, there's an option to have an automated follow-up campaign associated with that particular step. And when you see the stop campaign button, that means there's actually a campaign in effect. And let me show you what campaign is in effect right now. If I scroll down a little in the project, you'll see that I have an email that's scheduled to go out. That email got scheduled to go out because we scheduled an appointment, and this is a follow-up email for after you schedule an appointment. So if we go and take a quick look at what that email looks like, it's customized to the customer. Good day, John. My name is Tom D. That's who scheduled it, and I'm scheduling your appointment. Please contact me at this name and phone number if you have any questions. And then it says, I'm confirming our appointment for Wednesday, December 26th. You'll be meeting with Steve B., who's the person we assigned it to. And that's all automatic in the automated follow-up campaigns. You can use tokens to reference the different pieces of information that are available to you from the EstimateRocket project. And it makes it look like you hand typed it, but you didn't even lift a finger. So on the scheduled emails, when they're scheduled to go out in 0 days or today, it does still give you about a 10-minute buffer. So if you decide, oh, gee, I didn't want to send that after all, you do get a few minutes to stop the campaign before it will go ahead and send that email. So just so you know, you've got that little buffer space there, so you don't have to worry about too much about those emails going out when you don't want them to go out. So automated follow-ups, really powerful. You set them up in the settings, follow-up campaigns and email templates. And you can set up the follow-up with as many different communications as you want. You can also set those up as manual or automatic. They all are set to, all the ones that we pre-set up when you sign up for EstimateRocket are all set to manual. When you feel comfortable with it, you can set it to automatic. The only difference is when it's set to manual, you have to click the Start Campaign button. When it's set to automatic, it will automatically go as soon as you move into that particular step. You set up email templates, as many as you need, which you assign to the follow-ups, and then you can see what the scheduled emails look like on your projects. So once you've actually used it. So again, really, really key point. So, and again, they can happen all throughout the project, from setting an appointment to following up on a proposal to thanking the customer after the work has been completed and is done. Automated follow-up is very powerful. Okay, so we've now scheduled our appointment. Let's just take a look at what that looks like on the dashboard. If I go back to the dashboard, I did schedule that appointment for Steve. So I'm actually going to click on Steve, and I'm going to click on his future appointments, and there it is. So when Steve logs into EstimateRocket and takes a look at his dashboard, this is going to show up on his dashboard as an upcoming assignment for him. So this ability to assign things to the appropriate people and track when they've done it and that they've done it is, again, really, really powerful feature for you and will really speed up your work. So the next step here is Steve's actually going to create the estimate. So I'm going to go, this is what would happen in the field, and EstimateRocket is completely designed to be used on mobile devices like your phone or a tablet, as well as desktop. So it's completely formatted to work appropriately on any device. And that's what it looks like if you shrink it down onto your phone. So again, completely usable, very easy to use, and fully mobile. One other really neat feature that is available to you is the map feature. So if I click on the show map, it actually is going to show me the point on the map where that appointment is. And I can also click on directions, and it'll go out and give me Google directions to get to that location. So again, just some kind of neat features for you for mapping and getting directions. So let's go ahead and build an estimate. We're going to actually do an interior painting estimate. We do have templates available for several different trades, and we can certainly help anyone who wants them to build templates for whatever their specific needs are. Even if it's in one that we already cover, we're more than happy and willing to help people create even more templates and items to build their estimates with. So all of your estimates are going to be built out of line items. So I'm just going to click on the line items plus, and it gives me a variety of different options here. One way, when you first get started with EstimateRocket, if you don't have any templates loaded, you can simply type line item, you can select new item, you can type in a description of your services, you can give it a unit price or a total price. Maybe I want to charge $60 per hour, and it's going to take me 14 hours. And then I can give it a detailed description of what I'm going to do for the customer. Just writing in some description items, and I can save that. And I've now created a service proposal for mulching, planting, and mowing, and it has a total price and as unit price and quantity. Lots more we can do, but just a simple example of how quickly you can build the items up. You can build these items. You can also go to settings, item list, and pre-build a list of items. And if you want, let us know if you have those items built in a spreadsheet or in QuickBooks. We can actually help you import those items right into EstimateRocket to get you started that much quicker. The other thing we can do when we do it, besides line items, is we do have some templates. So I'm going to go down and choose a template like a paint interior area 2 coats. And that's going to give me some help in terms of building this proposal, because I can now go into my template and I can give the name of the area that I'm doing or the name of the service I'm providing. And I can then just start typing in quantities. So what I want to do is use one of our neat features, which is a room dimension calculator. And I can put in the height of the room. I can put in the width. It's 18, and by 14. And that calculates a wall area, ceiling area, and perimeter for us. So I can just paste in the wall area. I can go into the ceiling area and click on the ceiling area. I can go into the baseboard and pick the perimeter. So just some handy little features to calculate out what you need calculated. We're not going to do any priming in this particular one. And then I just need to put in counts of the different things I want to include in my project. So how many doors do I have? 2 doors and 2 frames. How many windows do I have? I have 2 windows, and I have 4 large windows. And then I've got things like crown molding, wainscot, shelving, small closet, and even some additional miscellaneous items like additional expenses. Maybe I have to rent some scaffolding for this project, so that's going to be $250. And maybe we have wainscoting, so let's go ahead and use our perimeter calculation again to calculate that. I can add to my description here if I need to. And once I'm got it described the way I want to, I simply save it. And it creates not only a line item for my project, but in the case of using an item template like we just did, it also created down below a material and labor list. That's a topic for another meeting, but the material and labor lists will basically tell you how many labor hours it's going to take to do that project. And it's going to tell you how much of each of the materials that were used in what we selected that you need. Again, these templates can be huge time savers for you. Highly recommended to speed up your estimating process. The other thing that will do for you, if you're using a template and you have the enterprise version, is it will also cost out and calculate your estimated profit for the project. So we also support the ability to keep track of your profits with your project. So I could go on. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and put in I have a scope of work template, and I'm just going to pick that I want the interior preparation scope and save that. And what that's going to do is create me a line item for scope of work that has all my interior preparation information predefined. Okay, so let's assume we've gone through our house now. We've put in some other rooms that we're going to do for this project. Maybe I don't want to do the mulching on this project, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that one. So now I can take a quick look at what my proposal is going to look like. So here we've got our scope of work, and then as many different rooms as we defined, and then we have our acceptance and signature area. So really quick, we got a nice clean looking proposal. got all the information in it we need. The other thing that we might want to do before we generate a proposal for this estimate is to add some photos to the project. So I happen to have some photos in my list. If we were on a mobile device, it would let you take a photo, or you can take a photo with a photo editing tool and actually annotate the photo before you upload it to EstimateRocket. So I'm just going to load a picture of a living room here, load that in, and then we're going to load one more photo. Let's do the exterior. So we can load as many photos as we want into the project. We can also specify whether the photos are going to be included in the what the customer is going to see on the proposal as well. I'm going to include these two for this particular project. So once we've got things the way we want it, and we've already previewed this once, the next step is to complete the estimate. Again, the actions are the place where you're going to look most often to see what the next step is. So in this particular case, I can complete the estimate. There's also some orange buttons. The orange buttons are usually kind of go back things or special things. So let's say the customer called us and said, hey, I don't know when I can do this. Can you call me in a week? We could unschedule the estimate and set a date for a week to follow up with this customer. Or if the customer said, can you come next week, we could reschedule the estimate appointment so it would show up on our dashboard again to make sure and queue us to get out to that customer. In this case, we're good to go. We got our estimate the way we want it. We're going to go ahead and complete the estimate. Now, notice this dialog that we saw a little bit earlier when we scheduled the estimates popped up again. It says, first of all, who did the estimate? Well, I'm going to give myself credit for that. And it says, who's going to follow up on acceptance of the project or work acceptance? I'm going to schedule that back to me as well. So these assignments are really important. And then it says, when should it be completed? So when should what be completed? When should following up on the work acceptance be completed? This is a reminder date. This date is going to determine when this particular task shows up on your dashboard again. Now, if I didn't have any automated follow-ups, I would just set this to A because I want to make sure I follow up with the person right away. But because I have automated follow-ups, I'm actually going to set this out a week because I know that EstimateRocket is going to automatically follow up for me. So I've set that out till next week, and I'm just going to put in a note, and we'll complete it. So completing the estimate does two things for you. So it moves it on to the next step of the project, which is pending acceptance. And it also generated a proposal for us. So proposal is simply a picture of an estimate at this point in time. So if, for example, you make a change to the estimate later, you have to generate a new proposal because the proposal is sort of the official copy. It's like you sent it out to the customer, they're going to sign it. Well, this is an official saved copy of this estimate right now. So what we're going to do in this case is email this out to the customer. So I'm going to go up to my blue email button and say email it. And it comes up and it knows who it's going to go to. And these people all happen to be me. And I can include other people if I wanted to email it to them as well. It's all customized for John. And it's going to give me a link where the customer or the person who gets the email, a link where they can go and view this proposal online, and they can even accept it there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Once we've sent out the email, you can see down here, it's pending. This is what the customer is going to receive. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the link like the customer would, and that's what the customer is going to see. So they've now got their online electronic proposal out there. They can click on it. They can view it, they can print it if they want to, and most importantly, they can accept it. So down here at the bottom left, they can agree to pay what the total of the estimate is, or they can also request changes. And either of these actions is going to send an email to the project owner that says, hey, they either requested changes or they accepted. So we're going to go ahead and say, I accept. And then the customer goes through a little process where they agree to use electronic records and signatures. If you have the signature capture feature turned on, you do need to turn on the signature capture feature if you want to use it. It does not come initially enabled when you first sign up for EstimateRocket, but it's very easy to turn on. In fact, if you let us know, we're happy to help with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign this. It's John Jones. Looks a lot like my name. And then once you've signed it, you can go ahead and accept the proposal and leave any comments you want. And that's going to shoot out an email into my inbox that says, hey, we just accepted this proposal. Great. So now, very simply, we haven't touched any paper. We've created a proposal. We've sent it out to the customer automatically. And when we completed the estimate, guess what it did? It created another automated follow-up campaign. So this is the one that has 5 steps in it. In 2 days, it's going to reach out and say, did you get the estimate I sent you? If not, I'll re-email it. And each of the subsequent follow-ups are similar. You can tailor them to your own liking in the settings email templates, but we think we've sent out some pretty useful ones by default, so check those out. Very, very easy to use, very powerful. So we've sent out our follow-ups. Our customers actually already accepted the project. Once the customer accepts the project, our next action button is to internally accept it. And the reason we internally accept it is because we also, in addition to accepting it, want to make sure that we can assign it to the next person or even schedule it ourselves now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Accept Work button. And it says, when did it get accepted? Anytime it's saying, what is the date that something happened, that's because we're tracking it being for reporting purposes. So you'll see in a few minutes where the reporting all comes out. So who's going to schedule the work? Maybe me, maybe I'm going to assign it to a project manager within my company that does the scheduling. Again, gives you the ability to have multiple of your team members all accountable and all part of the project and participating in this automated flow of information. So who's going to schedule it? I'm going to leave it assigned to me. When should be completed? I'm going to leave that assigned till today as well because I want to actually go ahead and schedule the work now. So we accept it. And we move on to the next step. So as I mentioned, the green buttons are constantly giving you that indicator of where to go next. So now what are my options? Schedule the work or complete the work. You might use complete the work if this is something where you've already sent the guy out. It was an emergency service call. They went out. The work's already done. You're just going to complete it because he already went on site. Or you can unaccept it or reassign it. Reassigning is when you want to reset the due date. So if I want to reset the due date till next week, I can use the reassign button and set it out to next Friday. And that just changes my due date. So notice it just changes the date where it's assigned to schedule work on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and schedule it. And brings up our calendar again, this time to schedule the job. And I can pop it on the calendar. I can, if it's going to be more than 1 day's worth of work, I can set a range of dates, and I can say who's going to complete it. So who's going to complete it? It might be a supervisor. We'll have to check on that. It could be a different person who's actually going to do the work. But this gives you the ability to assign it to the appropriate person to go out and actually do the job in the field. So I'm going to, and the other thing you get is notes. So we can say to stop at the paint store on way to job. That way the supervisor knows that he's got to stop and get materials. And we schedule it. We can look at our schedule anytime, and we're kind of moving through some steps here. We can look at our schedule anytime on the schedule screen, and that shows us a combination of our work appointments and also our sales appointments. And it really depends upon who the person is. So if I want to look at someone specific, like just me, I can select Tom and see what other things are assigned for Tom, or maybe I want to look at Tom and Steve, or Tom and Gigi. Not sure who else has got things scheduled, but it gives you the ability to see one or all of your people that are scheduled. Back to my dashboard, and let's look out into the future. And I see here, I can see all the upcoming things that I have going on. Here's my job to stop at the paint store on my way to the job coming up on Monday the 31st. So scheduling appointments, we can keep up on top of it. We already saw the estimate and then the following proposal. We've also got, took a quick look at items and item templates. Again, we can import your items for you to create your projects. We can help you build item templates or use some of the built-in templates. And now we're on to the next stage since we've scheduled the project, which is work orders and invoices. So I'm going to jump back into the project. And once we've completed the, we're into the work order stage, then we get the option to have a work order document, which the crew can view, or you can email out to the crew. And you have the capabilities of making the work order look a little bit differently than the estimate or proposal. And in this case, most of the time, people will turn off having the prices on the work order. So the work order is just going to have things like the number of hours that the project's scheduled to take, what materials are going to be required to do the job for each step, and those types of pieces of information. Also work notes, which you can have that only the crew sees on the work order. And then finally, at the bottom of the work order is a list of labor and materials that would be included with the project. All right, so we've generated our work order, and the next step in the process, and just for example, if we did run into a situation where this job got rolled back, maybe it rained and we couldn't do the job, we can unschedule it. And if we unschedule it, it says when should it be scheduled. I'm going to set that out, again, out to the future. But all that does is resets things. So now I can schedule it again, or I can complete work, or if I need to, I can reassign this again. So anytime you need to make adjustments to when things are due, you can do that with reassign or unschedule or unaccept. And those are your cues, basically, to make it easy to manage what shows up on your dashboard. Really important to manage those dates. If you don't manage those dates, what happens is you get a dashboard that's full of things that are late, because as soon as they're overdue, they fall into the late category. But these are even easy to fix to keep things out of your late category. If I want to follow up on completing and sending this invoice, if I click on the little drag and drop symbol and I start dragging it, I can simply go in and reset the date to a future date and say, okay, let's follow up at the end of next week. And that just moves it up into a future date. So it's pretty easy to update the dates, on the schedule, but that's the way you would do that. So we've followed our project pretty well through. We're on the dashboard now. One other screen that I want to show you that's really important is the project screen. So the dashboard is designed to show you what's due. The project screen is designed to show you all your projects. And so if you're just looking for a project, go to the project screen and do your searching. And you'll notice that over on the right are different categories or different stages of the project. So by default, you're going to be searching through all active projects. That means all projects that are not complete or canceled. So and you can subgroup these. So there's active, there's estimates. If I click on estimates, it's going to show me that there are estimates that need to be scheduled or pending scheduled, and there are also estimates that are pending completion. So this is an easy way to kind of drill down on the projects that you're looking for. And then, as I mentioned before, the search is really powerful here. So if I come over into my search bar and I say interior, that instantly reduces the number of projects that I'm looking at. Now I'm simply looking at, the 8 projects that are interior projects that we've got set up. And then I could further limit that by, a town name, for example, if I spell it right. And so that limits it down a little more to just the interior projects that are in Andover. So really, really powerful. And I cannot overemphasize that when you want to find something in EstimateRocket, use the search bar. Almost guarantee you're going to find it every time. Really will speed up your work. You don't have to sort differently. You don't have to do any different kind of selections. Just start typing what you're looking for into the search bar. This works on the project screen. It works on the dashboard screen. and it also works on the report screen, which I'll show you in just one moment. All right, so I know we're moving kind of quick through this, and I know there's a lot to cover here. I'm going to go back to my project that we're working on, and that is the one on 44. Nope, that's not the project. Oh, so I'm not finding the project I want right now because I'm looking in pendings. So I'm going to go back to active, and then I'm going to do my John Jones search again. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit better list and much shorter, although John has a lot of projects, but I happen to know that it's a residential interior, so we can also put that in. And then it shows our residential interior at 67 Water Street, and that's the one I know. So I could have said on Water Street, and that would have narrowed it down to it for me as well. So let's go ahead and schedule this, and then we'll finish it off. So because I had unscheduled it, now we're going to reschedule it. And then once the job is done and completed, and I do have an option for a campaign here, we're just going to go ahead and complete work. That's the next step. The guy's out in the field, finishes the job. He could also take photos during the course of the project. So if you want photos as you're working on the project, you can do that as well to keep track of what's happening on the project. You can also, all along the way, create invoices. So if we needed a deposit invoice, for example, we can go ahead and create that and say we wanted a 25% deposit. We can use our percent of total and make it 25%, and it automatically calculates it for us. Save that. Now, by creating that invoice, we can also email it to the customer, and then they're going to get a link to go look at this and view this invoice on the portal, on the customer portal that we looked at earlier. So again, another really, really handy feature. And I think I don't think I hit email there. Hang on one second. Let's try that one more. All right, we're going to hit send. That's going to send out our invoice. Now, if we go back to the customer portal for John Jones, if he clicks on his link, he's now going to have an unpaid invoice. It's his deposit invoice of 25%, shows him his photos. And if you're using, if you have our payments feature turned on, the customer will actually be able to click on a Pay Now button when they're viewing the invoice, and they can pay it right there with their credit card. So another really great feature, speeds up your payments, speeds up getting your cash in the bank. Great option. Once they pay it, you can either, if you're using credit cards, it will automatically record it. If they're manually paying it, you can come in, put in a reference, and enter in the payment amount and save it, and it will keep track of your payments with your project as well. So all the way through, final step, complete work. So we're done. Who completed it? When was it completed? And we've now satisfied that the work is done. Now, there's another step. We've completed the work, but now it's saying to complete the invoice. And the reason it says that is because if you look up in the upper right corner here, it shows us that our project value was $2,734. But we've only invoiced $683 so far. So this complete invoice button is actually going to automatically create a final invoice for this project. Notice there's now the new invoiced amount is higher than it was before. It's added a new one, and the option has gone to add payment. So now we can go ahead and put in a payment for the full amount that's due and save that. And now we get the option to complete the project. So this gives you the whole set of steps, all the way from the beginning of the project, creating it, scheduling it, doing your automated follow-ups, tracking it, and working the job, all the way to the end of the project when it's marked as completed. And this will take it off of the dashboard and move it into the completed projects. So that is pretty much the whole flow of an EstimateRocket project from start to finish. The other things that are really kind of cool to look at are the reports. I'm just going to take you in a quick tour on the reports. all of the things that are happening within EstimateRocket are being tracked. It's going to track every time you create an invoice and give you your sales amount. It's going to track the sales by estimator and by lead source. It's going to track new leads or new projects by lead source and new projects by project owner. And it's also going to track completed work orders, completed estimates, and accepted estimates. So all the different, key pieces of information or key performance indicators are being reported right here. Now you can also look at a really handy report called the closing ratio report. So if you track your closing ratios, here you go. Here's the closing ratio by estimator. And any of these reports can be viewed by day, month, quarter, or year. So let's say we want to look at the quarter. We instantly know how each of our estimators is performing. Tom is not doing so well. He's got 10 estimated and 6 accepted. Accepted is 30,000 and average accepted is only 5,000 a job. So this gives us a whole, very valuable information about how Tom is performing. And if we want to go look at what's happening, we can go look at his estimated and his accepted just by clicking on the link. And that brings us to the details of all the projects that are in Tom's list. So, and then further, if we want to go look at a project, we can simply click on the project and drill into the project and see what's going on in that project. Really, really powerful tool to figure out, who's selling what, how they're doing, total accountability, and that's one of the things that EstimateRocket is all about. Want to know what your sales, what your closing is by city? We click on city, and now we see what our most productive towns are, and this may be affected by the advertising we're doing or not. So again, really easy to get some really key information quickly. Zip code is we have the same by zip code. And then finally, the other one that's really fun is lead source. So what are your most productive lead sources? Who are you paying? Are there ones that you're paying for? Are those ones you're not paying for that are being really productive? This tells it all, and it can do it by the quarter or by the year or by the month, whatever period you want to track your salespeople's performance by. Okay, other reports that are really cool. There's the work progress and work scheduled reports. These are reports about all of your projects that are currently in motion or in progress. So those are really, really, again, valuable tool to know what's going on and what your status of your projects is and what the profitability and remaining costs and time is that you have to put in on that project. Very valuable tools. So there's a whole variety of other reports available. They all stem from this, one report summary screen. You can change whatever period you want to look at and then navigate between periods. If I select year, I can easily go back and look at 2017. I can go back and look at 2016. However I want to navigate here, very simple to see what my results were. And any of the blue links will bring us into the details of whatever is on those reports. All right. One other thing we didn't talk about is time tracking. So I can also track time for my employees on all of the projects. Now in my demo system, I haven't been being very good about tracking my time, so I'm a little lacking there. But as you see, as I scroll back through prior periods, there's lots of details. This shows me what days a particular person worked and how many hours a day, what their total hours were for the week, and then all of the hours for the whole week. And then I can always drill in, just like in everywhere else you see the links, you can drill in and see what the details were. It's tracking it by project, by work code, lets us know when they started and stopped on each job, each day. So all those reporting details that we need in order both to track the time for profitability for our projects and to use for payroll purposes. So I know we've covered a lot of material here. EstimateRocket is a very powerful tool. Lots of work to do to get done and to get up and running with it. But if you dive in and sort of take a look at what we talked about today and think through it, it's really pretty easy to get started and makes it very easy to grow your business with EstimateRocket. When you are getting things set up, the settings is the place to go. So settings is where all of the setup things that we talked about today are located. So we've got employees when you want to add new employees to your team. You can add them here. We've got item list where we can define all the different types of items that we want to use and what groups we want them to fall into. We've got item templates where we can build templates that have lists of our items that we've created and makes it very easy in a project to just fill in the counts and quantities of what we actually need to use on the project. And then we've got follow email templates and follow-up campaigns. You can create as many different email templates as you need for different purposes and customize them to the existing ones any way you want them to. And follow-up campaigns. We've got our company info. So when you first get started, you definitely should come into settings, company info, put in your company information. You can upload your logo, set your lead sources, your default lead sources. You can also do account billing things if you need to change your credit card that's on file or anything else you need to do to your subscription. And then the other place that you'll probably want to go is document templates. So document templates is where you can set up your terms and conditions and contract information, and you can customize some of the column settings that are available for your projects. And tax authorities, add-on calculations, and turning on signature capture, setting up payment processing, and doing your time tracking settings. These are all things that are under the settings menu. So not too daunting. We're always here to help. Just click on the little button and you'll see us. In fact, looks like we've all been online recently, and leave us a message. And you also have lots of help information available on the help button. So if I hit the help button, it brings you to your help site. We've got all kinds of different help information. We've got videos. We've got document formatting information. We've got a quick start guide. Need help. So lots of ways to get help for EstimateRocket too. And I hope you'll reach out to us for when you have questions or there's information that you're looking for. All right. So I know that was a whirlwind tour through EstimateRocket. Key points to remember: don't miss out on the automated follow-ups. They're very powerful. If you don't want to use automated follow-ups yet, make sure and at least check out email templates, because email templates can save you a lot of typing and really speed up those responses that you make over and over again to customers. Get your estimates set up, dive in and start using it right away. And see how it works, and then start building out the things you need, like your terms and conditions and your item list that you want to choose from. Take full advantage of the scheduling features, and then most importantly, once you get operating, make sure you take advantage of the reporting that's available to you, because EstimateRocket is tracking virtually everything that's going on in the system, and it makes it very easy to give you full accountability for everything that's going on. This video will be published on our YouTube channel probably within 2 or 3 days. So if anybody wants to review it, definitely encourage you. We also have one-on-one training for EstimateRocket. So in the app, just ask for the training link, and you can sign up for training sessions. Those are included in your subscription, so please don't hesitate to do that. We think it's a great help, and we just ask that when you sign up for training sessions, we sometimes will reach out to you to prepare some information in advance. Makes the best use of everybody's time if we have a little bit of an idea of what you're looking for, so that we can best respond to you guys and use your time as efficiently as possible as well. I'd like to thank everybody again for attending today. Look forward to seeing you at the Nest Success webinar. I wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season and Happy New Year, and we certainly look forward to working with you next year and the rest of this year. Take care, everybody.